All right, what's going on, boys and girls? So this particular video, we're going to be talking about Linux gaming channels that you should be following. And if you don't, you're probably using the YouTubes and the internet's wrong. So for me, I want to get this right out of the way. You will not find the bigger YouTube channels on here. Not my flavor, not my thing. For ones that call themselves gamers, specifically around Linux, and they really don't talk about it. That's probably why they shorthand certain things now. Ironic. So for me, I look for my Linux stuff elsewhere, and there are plenty of channels and plenty of great content, and it just requires a little bit of searching. So you'll find these channels sit between somewhere fairly small to about 3,000 to 4,000 generically. That's my sweet spot for unfettered content as far as like what you'll find. So let's get into just who I like. So first up, we have obviously Gaming on Linux. If you type in gamingonlinux.com, you will find plenty of content. Liam and I'm not even going to attempt the other streamer's name. Great content, weekly content on their website. Content is fairly regular on their YouTube stuff. Just if you like it, it's really hard to not like what they put out. So they really don't do reviews. I know this is an area that is kind of dead in the Linux sphere, and it kind of boggles my mind why. But they do more like gameplay and, hey, here's what something is. They might do a cool tutorial here and there, but generically, it's usually pretty much just gameplay videos that I've seen and live streams. So next up, we have Jake W93. He specifically focuses on like you see like monthly games I've played on Linux in June 2020. Like the cool thing with him is he tests out a lot of the Steam Play games. He was one of the first ones to see if Titanfall 2 was working once a lot of these EA games came out. So you get a very big different kind of flavor as far as what he is playing and what's available and all the other things. So for me, it's really cool. I like a lot of his content. Again, he is one of the bigger ones. He's sitting at about 11,000 subs. But really for me, still produces great content. He's put me onto a few games that I wouldn't have thought of playing. So props to him. And next up, you want your constant gamecast, podcast, videocast, whatever you want to call it, that bring a different flavor to probably what I would fit more into as far as unfettered with what they say, think, or feel, and that is the Linux Gamecast. Weekly podcast, you can get a podcast, you can get a video cast. They do kind of like we suck at X game kind of thing, and they just have fun with it, and that's really all you can ask. They do a lot of video game news roundups every week. Again, they're sitting at about 3.13 for subscribers. Definitely worth it if you are into Linux gaming. Next up, we have the Linux Gaming Experiment. Now, I fell onto this because I was a big fan of the original Natural Selection 2, which was available on Linux. So when Subnautica, which is another game by the original developer, Unknown Worlds, became available and playable through Proton, you're damn right. I was like looking at this, and he takes a very interesting approach to it. He looks at games in a different way, and not in a way that a lot of like hardcore gamers would. Subnautica is a very atmospheric game. It is a game that caters to a very specific niche audience because it's about exploration and that kind of stuff. And he does a fantastic job with all his games, and I freaking love him for it. So definitely worth checking out, just saying. Next up, we have Expander69. Again, he does a lot of what other people have been doing. He takes Steam titles and tests them out. He does benchmarks and a few other things that I've seen him do. But generically, his is a lot of just solid gameplay videos, and I'm totally fine with that. I think it's great that we have more of those because we need to highlight what is available and playable on Linux. And next up, if you're a Linux YouTuber, you probably know who Nova Spirit Tech is. Well, this is his gaming channel. He doesn't really put out a lot of content, but from what I've seen thus far and what he's put out, I've actually kind of enjoyed. It's fresh. From what you can see here, they're more let's plays of like older games, and that's cool because I always enjoy seeing like the older games getting played, because we always highlight like, oh, you can play like Devil May Cry 5 or the new Resident Evil, etc. And he's highlighting some of the older stuff that a lot of us would forget about. Let's be honest. I like Wing Commander Privateer. I remember that. Good game. He does do tutorials and stuff, but he does a lot of that on his main channel too. So. And next up, we have my buddy, probably one of my favorite Linux gaming YouTubers, because he doesn't just cover Linux, like gaming. He covers Linux, but he covers Linux gaming. He talks about games you can play on Linux. He talks about emulation on Linux, like using CMU, which is the Wii U emulator on Linux, and a bunch of other stuff that you normally wouldn't get. He does lots of tutorials, like how to install the latest version of Lutris, as an example there. And he doesn't get a lot of love. He used to go by Linux City, Linux Tech City, Viper 29 Gaming. He's had a few hundred different names, but currently Sean's Tech Cave. It's where I go when I want interesting Linux content as it relates to gaming. Probably as soon as I see a video, doesn't matter where I'm at, that's the automatic, just click and hit play. If you guys want to know who I prefer out of all this lot, it's going to be Sean's Tech Cave, Linux City. I prefer his approach, the way he handles things, the way he approaches the topics. But I am subscribed to all of these because these are some of my favorite channels. So people want to know who I look for Linux gaming news and all the other stuff, and it's not who you guys think it would be, because these guys do one thing, and that's these channels focus specifically 99% of the time on stuff that is related to Linux gaming. One of the bigger ones can't claim that because they just became every other Linux YouTube talking channel. So at the end of the day, who do you guys follow? You know, I know there's plenty of others. There's like HexDSL and a few others, but I'm curious to see who you guys follow. Comment down below. Let me know.